HarperCollins presents Cecily Sawyer, How to Be a Spy, by Iona Rangeley, read by Cassandra Harwood. It is a sad truth in life that people often underestimate little girls. You would be wise to use this to your advantage. Melissa Irving, the Fifth, The Little Girl's Guide to Infiltrating a Crime Ring. Chapter 1. It was midnight, and 10-year-old Cecily Sawyer was hiding in the attic above her hotel bedroom. Her long blonde hair was held back by a blue ribbon, and she was alternating between staring out of the window at the lamp-lit, puddle-lit, coal-dark streets and staring down into her lap, which held a large blue leather-bound book named Code Breaking for Beginners. Cecily had just ordered room service for the third time that evening, and the ice cream sundae at her feet looked all but ready to give up and melt into the musty heat that drifted up through the floorboards. Across the attic, a mouse scampered out from among the eaves and stared at her. Cecily looked up and stared at the mouse. This particular mouse had been scampering and staring a lot recently, and in an effort not to become afraid of it, she had given it a name. "Hello, Mrs. Maple Syrup," said Cecily, but the mouse didn't reply. Code breaking and not being afraid were two things that were very important to Cecily because, when Cecily grew up, she was going to be a spy. That was why she spent so much time snooping on her parents' hotel guests through the gap in room 40's door. Dozens of visitors came through the hotel from the city each day, and you never knew when one of them was going to be a villain. Most days, when Cecily had finished peeking through gaps, she would put away her binoculars and check door handles for fingerprints. Usually she would find them, unless it was cold outside in the city and everyone was wearing gloves. But she never knew what to do with them, because there is nothing actually villainous about having fingerprints. Cecily was an only child, which her best friend Felix said was good because she never had to share anything. Cecily could see where Felix was coming from, but it also meant that whenever she played dress-up, she had to be both the hero and the baddie, and change very quickly, and put the other Cecily in handcuffs, which is difficult when you only have two hands. It also meant she ended up doing odd things now and then, like spending too much time in the attic and giving names to mice. Sometimes Cecily asked her parents to play with her, and sometimes they did. Usually they were much too busy with the hotel. Besides, neither of them seemed to know a great deal about spying. She would be halfway through tying her dad to a chair and interrogating him, when suddenly he'd get a phone call and she would have to let him go. Then he'd spend the next hour in his office, droning down the phone in some foreign language, probably talking about room reservations or a new order of tablecloths. By the time he was finished, he'd have forgotten what stage of the game they were at, and Cecily would have to explain it to him all over again. Even when they weren't busy with the hotel, Cecily's parents were not very interested in playing dressing-up games. They were interested in doing Sudokus from books like Extreme Sudoku for Geniuses, or filling in cryptic crosswords in the newspaper. Luckily for Cecily, her mum and dad weren't the only people who lived in the Hotel de Bon Air. There was also Clarence, who was sometimes the valet and sometimes the butler, or sometimes both if he was feeling energetic. Clarence had long, pale fingers, a sweeping mop of grey hair, and pursed, pinched lips that enunciated everything very, very clearly. He could carry more suitcases at once than anyone else Cecily knew, and he loved to drive fast cars. Cecily had reason to believe that Clarence often drove the guests' cars around after he was supposed to have parked them, but of course she would never tell tales about him. After all, he never told on her. Then there was Mio, who worked on the reception desk. Most days, Mio got all her work done in just a few hours and spent the afternoons reading novels or research papers on the computer while she pretended to manage bookings. Cecily could see this very clearly whenever she poked her head through the banisters, but of course she didn't tell anyone. No one except the mouse. She also let the mouse listen to her when she practiced Japanese from a phrase book. Mio spoke perfect.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?